flames around them, or if it was coming from inside her. Like it was yesterday. The warmth and vibrance of her smile seemed to add to the limited light. For as long as he lived, Max would never forget the first time he saw her. It was imprinted on his brain, a permanent photograph never to be erased. Caro and her mother Rachel had shown up on a particularly rainy Monday morning. Rachel had been hired to help his grandparents around the house. She was their assistant, cook, gardener, whatever needed to be done. Max had watched the two newcomers in the kitchen, peeking out from a safe place behind the door that led to the living room. Even then, he'd known there was something almost otherworldly about Caro. She reminded him of the fairies and forest nymphs that he read about in his storybooks. She'd caught him watching her, and the second her eyes locked with his, her mouth split into a giant grin that somehow lit up her entire face, like it was doing right now. 6-year-old Max had felt a jump in his stomach somewhere behind his navel, a feeling he always associated with roller coasters and Caro, a feeling he was experiencing in the present moment. You were wearing a hot pink tutu and bright yellow rain boots that made you look so tiny. His hand was at her back, his fingertips tapping gently across her spine like he was playing a piano. Though you're still tiny. Hey! She playfully pinched his side, making him squirm against her until he grabbed her hand. It's not my fault I reached 5'2" and stopped growing. Well, you just had to get to 6 feet. It doesn't matter. Max pulled her hand to his mouth and kissed her knuckles. We still fit together. We've always fit together. It was true. Even from the start. He'd been a painfully shy child who had trouble stringing a sentence together, and she'd been a bouncing ball of energy who could have an entertaining conversation with a brick wall. And yet, they'd fit. Max leaned in close to Caro, brushing his lips against hers. Always. It was Caro who pushed in for the kiss, opening her mouth. Her tongue found his as her legs slid up and over his thigh, showing just how well they fit together. They hadn't finished making love that long ago, and yet he needed her again. But he always needed her. Would always need her. Max forced himself to break the kiss, pressing his forehead to hers as their uneven breaths mixed in the space between their mouths. Do you remember the first thing you said to me? Caro pulled back from him, settling her head against his arm so she could look at his face, her smile firmly back in place. I asked you if you liked chocolate chips in your pancakes and whipped cream on top. It's still the best breakfast. Oh, without a doubt, Max agreed as he pushed a strand of her dark brown hair out of her face. Do you remember what you told me after that? Her smile grew. That Max was a good pirate name, and we should go on an adventure after the rain stopped. And we've gone on so many adventures since then, Max said as he started to wrap the strand of hair gently around his finger. So many. Caro, I know we're young, and I know that our relationship has been mostly long distance. Max had lived in New York his whole life, up until a year ago when he'd moved down to North Carolina to go to UNC Chapel Hill. 4 hours was much more manageable than 11, but they'd still never been in the same place for longer than 3 months. And I know that us being together full-time has been delayed another year. Caro's face fell at those words, her expression sad. The plan had always been for her to join him at UNC after finishing high school, but those plans had changed when her mother was diagnosed with cancer. She decided to stay home for the year and help take care of Rachel and the rest of her family. But this summer has given us other gifts. She'd moved into the loft above her parents' garage, giving them some sort of privacy when he was in town that summer. They didn't have to sneak around, didn't have to set alarms to wake up early and creep back into their own beds as if they'd been there the whole time. I've gotten to go to sleep with you in my arms every night. Gotten to